Okay, so here we are at the third of three videos on the nervous system, and this one will concentrate on the peripheral nervous system. You may recall from the previous uh, part or presentation that the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord running down through the vertebrae. But all of the nerves that you see in the picture here, those represent peripheral nerves, nerves that come out from either the brain or the spinal cord and go to various parts of the body. They can receive sensory information and take it into the central nervous system, or they can take messages from the central nervous system and send it back out to the body, the muscles, the nerves, the endocrine glands, and that sort of thing. So the peripheral nervous system itself, summarized as the PNS, includes both cranial and spinal nerves. All right. Now, the cranial nerves are obviously found in the cranium, inside the head. So don't be confused. All right. There are inside your head is not just your brain. There are a series of nerves there that carry out certain functions. For example, the nerves that run from your eyes to the occipital lobe at the back of your head, those are cranial nerves, but they are part of the peripheral nervous system, not part of the brain. The nerves that run from the cochlea in your ears into your brain, those nerves are, again, sensory nerves, but they are part of the peripheral nervous system, not part of the brain. So keep that in mind. There are a total of 12 peripheral nerves in your head, and there are 31 spinal nerves. All right, 31 for one nerve for each of the discs that sit between the vertebrae. So where two vertebrae come together, like so, there's a disc in here, and the nerves come out from that, as you saw in the previous slide. So the spinal nerves are conducting impulses to and from the spinal cord. The cranial nerves conduct impulses to and from the brain. Now, the peripheral nervous system is also divided into two different parts: the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system actually takes a look at the things that you do voluntarily. All right. So the key here is that these are mostly voluntary actions. Generally speaking, they serve the skin, the skeletal muscles, and the tendons. So everything on the outside of your body, things that help you move, things that help you feel, touch, and that sort of thing. So again, both sensory and motor nerves are part of the voluntary or somatic division of the peripheral nervous system. There are some automatic responses, and these are called reflexes. Now, we talked about reflexes in the previous presentation, and I really like this diagram because what it shows is something that just disappeared. What it shows is the sensory impulse runs through a sensory nerve into the spinal cord, but rather than going directly to the brain before a response can be determined, the motor nerve takes a path right back out to a muscle or a gland or whatever it happens to be, and that is an immediate response without even having to literally think about it. The autonomic division of the peripheral nervous system regulates the activity of the involuntary stuff. All right, so all of your involuntary muscles, your digestive tract, your heart rate, and that sort of thing. This is all automatic or part of the autonomic peripheral nervous system. To break it down even further, there are two divisions of the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system gets your body ready for the fight or flight response. It helps to speed up metabolism, your heart rate, your breathing rate, while it also down regulates the other things that your nervous system would be responsible for. If you got scared by a quick, loud noise, a big boom, a roll of thunder that really startled you, your adrenaline would be up. That's what we say. We say your adrenaline goes up. But in reality, that is your sympathetic nervous system in action. It gets you ready for this fight or flight. Am I going to get ready to defend myself, or am I going to run like heck? And so at the same time, your heart rate goes up, you start to sweat, your breathing rate goes up, all of your muscles are on alert and that sort of thing. Then at the same time, your digestive tract kind of shuts down a little bit. You don't need to digest your food while you're running away from a lion. Okay. You don't need to, take care of other things while your body is literally in danger. So more resources are garnered by the systems that actually that you need to defend you or help you or protect you. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is just the opposite. This brings everything down into the relaxed state. It slows down your metabolism, your heart rate, your respiratory rate, and everything else, and it kind of brings everything else back up to normal after the fear has passed, after the fight or the flight has ended. Sometimes people refer to the parasympathetic nervous system as the rest and digest system. All right, so you get the fight or flight response and the rest or digest response. Okay. One more video. This, I think, is another Mr. Anderson video on the nervous system. So please make sure that you copy this link into your interweb browser and have a quick look. All right, obviously he does a far better job at these kinds of things than I do. Now, last thing that we always talk about in any unit is things that can go wrong with that particular system. And so here today in the health focus, we're going to talk about, and very briefly, degenerative brain disorders. I'm sure that everyone has heard of Alzheimer's disease. This is a disease that's usually found in older folks over the age of 65. It begins with loss of short-term memory. And it seems to be it may be caused by abnormal neurons with a plaque composed of proteins that literally covers up the nerve endings and that sort of thing inside the brain. It's exceptionally difficult to treat, although there are many pharmaceutical companies and other researchers working on this today. Parkinson's disease is also a disease that's mostly found in older folks between the ages of 50 and 60. You begin to lose motor control. So it's characterized by a shake. Essentially, what it does is certain nerves that are supposed to inhibit the nervous system or neurotransmitters that inhibit the nervous system are no longer produced in the right way. And so, for example, you start a movement, but then you can't stop it. And so you continue to shake. Many folks have had Parkinson's, including some famous folks, including Michael J. Fox, Muhammad Ali. These may be past your time, but that is, it's a sad fact. Right? Both of these diseases are tough to handle. Last but not least, the effects of drugs on your nervous system. Generally speaking, and this is, you could take an entire semester's worth of information about stuff that I have just on this slide, okay? So I don't want you to think that this is by any means an exhaustive list of what happens and the interactions between chemicals, drugs, and the nerves in your brain. But drugs have two general effects on the nervous system. They can affect the limbic system, meaning that your reward center, meaning they make you feel good, right? Or they can promote the action of a certain neurotransmitter, either inhibitory or excitatory. So most drug abusers take drugs that affect dopamine one way or the other. It either brings them down and gets you really really copacetic, man. Or it can inhibit dopamine and get you all hyped up and going. Um, and so they when you affect the dopamine levels, you artificially affect the limbic system, the reward center, and this can go on until you start ignoring eating, drinking, not drinking alcohol, but literally drinking water and other kinds of physical needs in favor of just being high all the time. This can be both physiological and psychological. And the deal is that unfortunately, once a person becomes physically dependent upon a drug, they usually literally build up a tolerance. Sorry, they need more and more of that same drug in order to gain that same effect, that same high. So again, using opioids or alcohol or any of these other kinds of addictive drugs is dangerous because it does literally affect your brain chemistry. Okay, boys and girls, so that's the last video of the 3 that I made on the nervous system. I hope you've learned a little bit here. Please make sure that you are reading chapter 14 in your textbook to go along with this. All right. Happy Monday and have a great day.